This is the Veritable Veteran Podcast, bringing truth and exposure to the struggles veterans and their families face post-military. Depression, anger, PTSD, suicide. Who am I? What do I do now? Hey guys, welcome back to the Veritable Veteran Podcast. This week is part 2 with Eric Donoho. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first portion. If you haven't listened to the first part, go back and listen to the last episode. It's Eric Donoho, part 1. This is the rest of the episode. It's Eric Donoho, part 2. Hope you guys enjoy. Yeah. And it's like, yep, well, I'm out.
And that's I'm not as brave.
The beautiful thing about
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying just the beautiful thing about having, the way podcasting works now, and just the fact that anyone can have one. I mean,
Right.
Literally anybody can start one anywhere. Like I started recording in my closet. Like literally I had a little desk in my closet and I had a little lapel microphone and I was like, holding it to my mouth. And that's all I did. I don't have to answer to anyone and I can talk about whatever I want to talk about.
Right.
And granted, now, do I make a dime off my podcast? Nope. It's just, I do this for, because I've had a lot of people tell me it helps. They like listening to it. They've been able to relate to a lot of the stories.
Well,
And, there's
the hope is maybe you will at some point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I want people that can see the benefit of what I'm saying, not because I'm filtering what I'm saying, but because I'm telling the truth and what actually needs to be said. And I've had my Facebook page. My Facebook page is kind of the flagship page because I started on Facebook and I've had that for 7 years now. And it only grew a lot in the last, what month is it? September, probably about the last 9 months. I mean, I had about 40,000 followers for probably 4 of those 7 years. And then it just plateaued and I wasn't really serious about it for a while because I was working at the PD and I was focusing on my career as a cop. Then all that went down and I got fired and everything else, and that, there's several podcast episodes about that. If you're interested and you want to hear that story, go back to a couple episodes and you'll find it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. There's a lot to it. I think that I know that God allowed that to happen so I can use that story because he already has used it. Doesn't mean that I enjoyed it and, doesn't mean that I liked it, but it's something it's a tool I can use. And the Facebook page, like I said, I'm trying to remember where I was going with that because I had it for about 7 years and just talking about the growth of things. And I can't remember where I was going with that. We were talking about podcast growth and see, it was in my head and then it was gone.
Well, then eventually we would make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's, yeah. So for 7 years, I've had a lot of veterans are very closed off to God in general. And I think that it's not a myth, but I think I've thought that too many veterans are. I think that I have thought that more veterans are turned off to God than is actually true. I think that recently, especially, I think the whole country is hungry for spiritual things. And I think that there's a lot of negative spiritual things that have kind of filled that gap. And we need to be more vocal about Christ and God and the fact that the answer really is God and faith in God and faith in Christ. Because like you said, we've poured billions of dollars into everything else and it's not working. The unfortunate thing about me is I have kind of held back on saying a lot of that stuff, not because I'm making money on it or because someone has said you can't.
I'm smiling because I don't say 70% of the things that I would like to say. Like I don't make videos about 70% of content that I feel like.
Yeah, because and I mean, I've wholeheartedly, we're on the same page because it's like, I don't want to turn off these guys thinking that I'm preaching at them. Recently, God has really been working in my heart about being like, you got to get to a point where you don't really worry about it and just let me handle it and say what needs to be said. Like one of my podcast episodes recently, it was just me talking about, it was just titled The Day God Saved My Life because it was the day that I almost died in Afghanistan and the closest I've ever come to dying in my life. And at the end of it, I just started talking about how the only reason I'm still here is God. God has me here for a reason. And then tying it back into these other guys' lives and girls' lives is saying, God has you here for a reason. You're not here. You could have died overseas. You could have died in a car crash on the way to McDonald's this morning when you went to get your breakfast, but you're here for a reason. And
Figure it out.
yeah, let's
Figure
like
it out.
stop sitting on your couch and staring at the TV going, I'm so depressed. Like, yeah, you're depressed because you're sitting on your couch staring at the TV.
Right.
And I get it because I've been that person. I've
And
been the
but
one sitting there. I'm
right,
so
but
depressed and I'm staring at the TV and I'm not doing anything.
and then
It's
it's
just,
like, well, they have all and if you're out there and you're this person, hear me out when I say this, but don't get mad at me because it might hit a little close to the heart because, we've both been there, right? So you're
yep,
sitting at the
yep,
TV and you're watching this, you're sitting there saying all these good ideas and thoughts, and you're wanting to be in the game, right? But you're in the stands. When you
yeah,
decide to come into the game, don't give up after the first month or two when no one responds to you, because when you're playing the game, you don't have time to look at who's come to be a fill in, right?
yeah,
And it takes time to move yourself to the player's bench and so forth
yep,
and so on. And so, my whole point in this is like when you go to change your life, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes
yeah,
years. It took you years to end up fat slob on the couch, not doing shit, being depressed about
yep,
your life. It's going to take years for you to become the person you hope to become when you look in the mirror. When you
yep,
start with that benefit and mindset, this is going to take years, not weeks and months. Now, all of a sudden, it's actually possible and you enjoy playing the game. When you think you're going to go from the stands and then onto the field because you are a smart person, you are intellectual, you do have something to offer this world. You just have to understand it. You don't go from the stands to the fucking the stadium. And
yeah,
even if you do, you should be running back to the sideline and be like, "No, I'm
yeah. Well, I mean, you look at these people that they go from nobodies to famous in just a couple days.
right."
How long do they last? Usually not very long. I mean, some of them do. You may have an anomaly here and there, but the perfect example that I love to use, and I have nothing against this girl. I don't even know her name. I just know the Hawk Tuah girl, right?
I was gonna
She
say her. I was
she
gonna
went
say
from, I mean,
her.
she went from zero to
Yeah.
millions of followers in like 2 days. I don't even, I could be totally off on that, but I'm saying she went from zero to everyone in the country knew who she was overnight. Started a podcast, started all over, got a team together for her Instagram and TikTok and all the social media, had a whole team, had, all this stuff. Where's she now?
She got
I
taken
mean,
advantage of.
I agree. I think she did.
I mean, wholeheartedly, here's how this works. When that moment came, and I hope not from the crypto shit that happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some whole I think she's cleared in that, but again,
Yeah. I
there's
don't
a lot
know.
of stuff I don't know about that. So as an individual, I hope she gained some monetary and bettered her life for what she gave
Yeah.
up in that
Yep.
whole time frame. But it's not like the other one, the redheaded beard guy that's tall sings
Uh, Oliver,
Oliver
Anthony
Anthony.
Oliver, or Anthony Oliver. I can't
Anthony
remember which.
Oliver, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
He's a prime example too. They swooped in on him and
Yep.
he's like, he backed off and was like, no, nope, I'm not
Yeah.
doing it. My
Yep.
book, for example, I had a number of publishers who were willing to work with me and do it for free, but they wanted the copyrights. Like there are just something, I'm not trying to say that my story is movie ready, but there are a number of attributes with this book that I wrote that could be easily adapted into some sort of a screenplay. If
Yeah.
I would have published with them and given them the rights of the book, I would have gotten a bigger paycheck. I would have gotten a paycheck. I haven't even gotten a paycheck yet.
Right.
I would have gotten a paycheck. I would have had
Yeah.
a huge promotion and marketing budget
Yeah.
behind it, but they would have owned the copyrights and then they would get to
Yeah.
say who gets to make the movie about it, how they make the movie about it. Like, I don't own
Yep.
my story anymore. And
Yes.
so I went a different way and I went with a hybrid publisher. They're still a publisher, but I went with their hybrid option, which is I paid them and then I take the book, I do the marketing, I do all of that. Um,
Right.
and, would I do it that way again for my story? I would. If I was to
Yeah.
write another book, nah,
Yeah. Right. But
because it's not
that's the
easy,
thing
and
is
that's the thing.
that's your story though. And that's your life. And you can't just let me rephrase that. I don't think you should sell that to
No.
somebody else
I mean,
to be
well,
able to, and
I
I
should
mean
be
in
the
general,
one
like
who benefits. If somebody's gonna benefit
yes.
financially, I should be the one who benefits financially, my
Yes.
family.
Right. And I wholeheartedly agree because there's a lot of people that will write a book. It's a really good story. It's really well written and they see the monetary benefit up front and they're like, this would really benefit from my family. And I'm not, I'm not judging anybody. I haven't been there. I haven't written a book. I haven't had the opportunity to sell it, or to sell the copyrights and all that stuff. I'm just saying you got to be careful just because there's some money involved, selling
Doesn't mean
because
it's
it's not selling your soul, but it's like you
you
got to be
could be.
careful that they don't. You could be because they could
You
take
could
that
be.
and run with it, and
You
all of a
could you
sudden,
could then you could buy your soul back, which means you lose what you were given, right? But
yeah,
you could be selling your soul. You don't know necessarily is what I'm getting
yeah,
at. Like,
yes,
it's just why I don't rush to these offers when people come in and they're like, "Hey,
yeah,
I really want to platform you. I want to help share this message. I love where you're
yeah.
going." I think it gets into a slippery slope.
Yeah. Well, I've had several people. Well, I've had several people reach out, and most of them are small, companies that
Mhm.
just they're like, hey, do you want to, I'll send you some stuff, you can promote it, and then I'll promote you, and you can have this stuff for free. And I'm kind of like, no, like I'm good. Like I don't. I've partnered officially with one company, and then I have another one that I'm doing like it's a partnership, but it's just a, kind of it's a fitness plan that this guy's got me on and I'm promoting it, and all this other stuff. But it's just, there's been
I
several
think it's
people that are like,
awesome. I think people should absolutely use their platform, especially if they've built it to help them better themselves. Number one.
yeah,
Number two, I don't have anything wrong or against people advertising or selling stuff or marketing
yeah,
stuff. I mean, this is their
nope,
platform, right? They built
yep,
it. If you don't like it, turn it off. It's like
yep.
it's
Well,
like
and
a
it's got to be, you have to be able to stand behind it and be proud of it,
right. I mean, on
and
my platform, you're not getting free speech. I have words that are typed in, that if you type those in, your comment's gonna get thrown into the hidden section, and then I
yeah,
gotta review it and decide whether or not it's gonna go into the mainstream comments, and depending on what
yep,
that comment is, you
yeah,
you're gonna get blocked and deleted, or you're gonna get
yep,
added to the mainstream comments. I don't mess around. Like, I'm
yeah,
not here anymore to sit here and be like, "Oh, I gotta please everyone."
yeah,
Because the
yep,
reality is, I'm never going to please everyone. I'm not a
yeah,
perfect person. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to choose to believe the wrong people from time to time. I'm going to wish I would have believed these people from time to time.
yeah,
Like, there's so many things and mistakes I'm going to make along the way. So, the reality is, if for me, it's just gotten to a point where what's the message that I'm trying to get across? What
yeah,
is this idea? And for me, it's, when life is struggling, who should we turn to? God.
yeah,
And
yep,
that's what my platform is trending towards, right? Like, my book, it's not all evangelical, me preaching about God.
right,
I mean, the first part of my life, I was
mm,
fucking pissed at him. I mean,
yeah,
pissed
yep,
and angry and mad. I never truly questioned whether he existed. I just questioned whether he was good and whether
right,
I gave a fuck because, like, look around when you go to war and you see what humanity will do to another person in the name of God. Like,
yeah,
fuck that. No way. So from my perspective, that's why I wrote it, because it was like, how can I go from Catholic, school my whole life to being like, nothing, screw
yeah,
this, like this sucks, to nothing, to basic training. That the only time I showed up to church, like from the time I graduated high school, until basic training, was in basic training, and the reason I went was because I was 26 at the time, 25. I was 25 at the time, and I was like,
Yeah.
"I can get away with go there and nobody yell at me
Yep.
for an hour. I'm gonna go
Yep.
there."
That's
But I
why
didn't go
99% of people go.
right, I didn't go to, like, but I found myself starting to ask questions then. And
Yeah.
that was when I started like, now when I trace it back and I look back at my journey, it actually really started that, my personal journey with God actually started in those basic training visits to the chapel.
Yeah.
And it continued throughout all of those experiences. And what I didn't realize is even though I was angry at him, I was still talking to him.
Yeah.
I
And
was
that's one thing that my mom instilled in me from a young age was God can handle your anger. And she used to say that all the time. She's like, God knows you're angry. So if you sit there and yell at God, what's the difference between yelling at him verbally and yelling at him mentally? He already hears it. He knows what you're
right,
thinking. He knows what you're saying in your head. So she's like, but it makes you feel better, right? To be able to put words to that and kind of just go and tell him, I'm mad right now. I'm pissed. Like, I do not like what just happened. And this was what my mom was telling me this when I was little, I'm talking like elementary school. She was like, "You can be mad at God." She's like, "I'm mad at God all the time. I talk to him. I tell him I didn't like what happened." And then she's like, I'm not sacrilegious in it. I'm not, telling him I don't believe in you or anything else." She's like, "I'm just like, I don't understand why this happened. I don't like it. I'm angry." And, and there's a lot of, I've heard people say that, well, you shouldn't talk to God that way. It's not respectful. And, I would simply say, God already knows if I'm angry, right?
yeah, and when
I'm
those
not hiding
people
anything by not saying it out loud. Like, he
yeah,
knows what I'm thinking. And it's by putting words to it and talking to him, it's almost like if I had a friend, right? And I was mad at him, but I never told him I was mad at him, our relationship wouldn't be very good,
mm-mm,
right? Because I knew that I'm mad at him and he doesn't know it. So I'm gonna act around him. I'm gonna act like I'm not mad at him. But if I went to that friend who was like a really good friend of them and I'm like, dude, I'm pissed with you right now. And he's like, "For what?" And I'm like, "You know exactly what." And I just let him have it, right? And he lets me have it and we have it out. Your relationship's probably gonna get better if you're actually friends, right? And you
right.
actually develop that
It'll
relationship and you're
get
like, "Hey,
deeper. The
yeah,
trust
like, I'm
goes
sorry that I
deeper.
yelled at you last week. Like, I shouldn't have yelled at you. I should have just come to you and talked to you." And he's like, "Yeah, man, I probably should have just talked to you as well. I'm sorry." And then you get to that point where you understand, "Hey, if I'm mad at you, I'll just tell you."
Right.
Right? It's the same thing with God, a personal relationship with him. If you're not talking to him in all situations, then your relationship isn't that deep. You know, I woke up this morning and I'm going to be honest, I didn't want to do this interview. And it's not nothing to do with you. I just didn't want to do it.
No,
And I
I
was like,
was
I don't want
feeling
to do
it
this
too,
right now.
man, like, I was
Yeah.
struggling. I had
I
to
was like,
listen to
like,
some
I don't
pump
want to
me
do
up
this.
music.
I'm over here in the corner pouting. Like, I don't want to do this today. Yeah.
Some days
And,
you feel
and I'm,
it, man, and some days
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
struggle, right? Because it's a
And
grind, and
yeah.
people don't
And I was
see
but I was talking to God and I was like, God, like, why do I feel this way right now? I'm not in the mood. And God's, I don't, God doesn't talk to me audibly in my ears. He doesn't like, I don't, but I just start having thoughts about like, maybe there's a reason that you don't feel like it this morning. And maybe it's the fact that, Satan doesn't want you to have this conversation because it could be really positive. It could really help somebody. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're probably right. I still don't want to do it. I'll do it, but I'll do it, I'll, begrudgingly do it.
right. No, I feel you, like, the whole aspect about this journey, and I know you know exactly what I'm saying, because like, we're right. I think our journeys have kind of all been happening about the same time, like,
Yeah.
as far as growing and this sort of thing. Like, some days you just don't wanna do it. Like, some days it's really hard. Like,
Yeah.
it's you're like, I'm the only person doing all of this work.
Yeah.
I'm answering all of I'm answering
Yep.
the replies. I'm
Yep.
making content. I'm having to book, like, see, I don't even put out that I, like, go do events because I'm like, "Who fucking cares?" Like, nobody wants to come see me,
Nobody
dude.
wants me there. Come on.
Who gives a shit? I'm just Eric, right? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
don't see myself in that way because
Yeah.
that isn't what this was about, right? So now I'm like, well, shit. I mean, like, I should be putting out that I'm going to be at, the Bloomington Book Festival, the Louis Book Festival. I'm
Yep.
speaking, giving the keynote speech at the Reagan Library. Most people would be like,
Oh my word. Yeah.
all over
Just
the shit,
shouting
bragging
it. Yeah.
about that they're giving the keynote speech for Veterans Day at Reagan Library. It
Yep.
hasn't even made it to my I think there's one post when I signed the deal, right? Like,
Right.
that was back at last year. There's been
Yeah.
nothing. And so, like, I'm realizing it's just so much that I choose to
Yeah.
always prioritize the veterans reaching out first. And then it's the
Yeah.
content, right? Because you got to keep that marching forward. And then it's
Yeah.
this,
Yep.
and then it's that. And by the time that I get down to it, it's these things that would be more beneficial to me financially, and I probably should be dealing with first.
Yeah.
But I don't. And so, when we talk about all of this, it's hard to find motivation and be motivated every day. That's where
Yeah.
the discipline comes in. And that's where,
Yep.
what we learned in the military is what drives us forward. And I had
Yep.
that same conversation, right? Like, I know why I'm not feeling it today. Like, this been a week where I've slept like maybe 2 hours a night, 2.5 hours a night, because I'm grinding right now. And I've got all of
Yep.
these projects. I've got to learn speeches. I've got all of this that I'm doing. And I have this rule that if I can't sleep, I'm not just going to lay in bed. I get up and I go work. And see, that's
Yeah.
what a lot of
Yeah.
veterans don't do. They lay in bed or they go turn on the TV because they can't sleep. I'll come in and I'll do all the research I need to do for this project, or I'll write a speech, or I'll do the things that I need to do. So then I'm grinding a ridiculous amount of time during the day. And so
Right.
today, um, I got my mom and dad coming down for a family event, and the truck yesterday took a shit. We've got
Yeah.
a
Of
188, it's got 188,000 miles on it. We're not going to
yeah.
get rid of it. That thing has been on my wife's and our journey since the very beginning. But it's like, man, like when it really starts hitting, right? Like
Yeah.
that's when I ask the question, like what you were saying. All right, the things that I have on my schedule that I don't want to do, I need to
Yeah.
double down on, and I need to bring 3 times as much energy because I'm getting attacked all the way over here and in all these
Yeah.
different things and the dreams and
Yep.
all this because something I'm doing he doesn't want to happen.
Yeah. Yep.
Now
And
I don't
I
know what
think
that
that
is. So I'd have
right.
to put a
Exactly. And that's, I think I get a glimpse of it when I'm talking to the guys that message me and comment, and they're like, "Thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for putting this out there." But even then, it's like my wife's like, "Look at all these messages you get. Like, why are you discouraged?" And I'm like, "I'm discouraged because I'm a human being. I'm sorry. I just don't want to do it right now. I'm tired." But
well, and
it's really neat.
it's not easy to put your shit out there, right? Because how
Yeah.
many times do people like, I know when I write something about, like, I put a post up and about, spend all day making someone laugh and then, they're crying in their car on the way home. And then people
Yeah.
are you okay? Or do you need, and it's like,
So
I'm like,
I get so many messages of that, like all the time. Like, bro, are you okay? Your stuff is really dark this week. And I'm like, okay. And I try to put this out there as much as I can. I'm like, guys,
I
I'm
know,
fine. Okay.
I've
Like,
seen it and it's
I'm
made me
okay.
laugh because I'm like, he's
Yeah.
getting it too. All right. So
Yeah. I'm like, oh my
I'll keep
word, guys,
rolling
I'm
with it.
fine. Like, yeah. And that's, and I have to say this because I really appreciate people reaching out and being like, hey, are you okay?
Right.
Because again, they're doing what we tell them. Like, you need to reach out
Right,
to your friends, reach out
exactly.
to people
And
and make sure
never
they're
make
okay.
anyone feel bad about it.
And I always tell them like, hey, I really appreciate you reaching out, but I am okay. I am fine. What I'm doing is I'm trying to put visuals to the words people are telling me. Like some of the stuff I put out there, like the whole baby wipe video, the baby wipes, the smell of the baby wipes was triggering because that's all they had to bathe with for the first 60 days while they were in Iraq.
Right.
That's not my story. That's not my experience. Okay.
Right.
That wasn't me. I
Right.
had put the question out there, what triggers you? Like, what is something that triggers you? And this guy was like, baby wipes. And I was like, what? Why? And then he told me, and I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like the
Right.
smell of a baby wipe would do that. Like if that's all you had to bathe with and you experienced something traumatic right before you used them, you know. So I put that out there, and always people were like, "That's so ridiculous! I can't believe that's your baby wipes. Just shut up and change the diaper." And then there's the other side of people that are like, "Oh my word, I can't believe you experienced that. I'm so sorry." I'm like, guys, I literally told you in the post, like that
This
this
is
was a
not my
response from
story.
someone. It's not my story. I'm simply putting visuals to what people are telling me because they don't know or they don't have the bandwidth to put that out there. So they could take that video and show a friend or a spouse and say, "Hey, this is why, and this is what it feels like when you ask me to change the diaper and I get uptight and I get scared and I get like nervous. This is why." And
I
they're
need
like,
to
"Oh,
deal with my, my service dog real quick. I
yeah,
say
yeah,
my service dog because, like,
right,
this great story. She is a drug dog from the military. She was being trained to be a
nice,
drug dog. I got her
yeah,
because she flunked out.
yeah,
So they wanted her to go to a vet, right? And
right,
so at the time, like, I was having trouble, like, leaving, right? And traveling and
yeah,
doing these things. So the thought patterns, maybe this will help me, right? And it
yeah,
ended up being more of a hassle to travel with her than not. So I ended up not
yeah."
traveling
You're
with
like,
her
"Abort,
because, like, I
abort."
don't want to get up in the middle of the night to take you out to go poop if you need to go poop, right?
Right,
So
yeah, like,
in
no,
a hotel room, right? Like, I don't want to do that in the middle of
right,
New York City. Like, no,
yep,
that's gonna
just
make it
no,
worse for me.
yeah,
Um, so anyways, the only time she gets vocal is when she wants to go out, and now she knows I'm talking about her, so I'm looking through the window on my,
she's just staring at
door, and she's
staring at you,
just
yeah,
staring at me right now. So we'll see if she
yeah,
barks again, but I feel bad because I can see when she does it, my end goes up on this
right,
side, so,
yeah. It's honestly, I heard one little thing and that was it. So I mean, she's not, and even if she does, it's not it doesn't bother me. And people
um,
at this,
but
I've
no, I
listened
mean,
to so many podcasts where there's like,
all of these
there's dogs
things
barking in the background. It just makes me laugh. But go ahead.
all of these things that we're talking, they're incredibly important, man. And not an, and like, in my opinion, we're not doing enough to change the victim narrative. And
Yeah,
conversations like what you and I are having today starts other veterans in saying, well, yeah, man, like, why is it that after 25 years of existence or whatever it is that WWP has been in existence, why is it that we don't see the veterans that they saved and their
yeah,
stories of what they've done since coming home? Now, I understand they're really severely wounded. Like, not going to be,
yeah,
there's not a whole lot that they may not have been able to do, right? Like
yeah,
physically. But there are a whole lot of people who have had PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, these sort of things that with the kind of monetary investment that Wounded Warrior has been making in veterans, you would think that you would have enough success stories to share one a day
yeah.
for a year.
For yes, yeah, at least. I mean, and
Just a year. That's only
yeah,
365.
yeah. I mean, you've been doing it for 20 years.
And
Like,
I
yeah,
all I ever see are the ones that they're helping. And I'm not
yeah,
trying to be a dick when I say this, but I think it's important to go back to because there are a lot of veterans who hide the fact that they're actually veterans because of that narrative.
yeah,
They're in jobs in the finance world, in a world
yeah,
where that perception that you might be broke or that you might lose your shit at a moment's
yeah,
notice would not help them succeed in their world. So they're like, I don't even tell people I served.
yeah. Yep. No, and I almost started a platform that was I was going to call it Never a Victim, which is funny because there's actually a guy, one of the guys that was blown up at the Abbey Gate in Afghanistan. He started a program. It's either called Never a Victim or Not a Victim. It was the one that I was going to use. I can't remember because
Mm.
it was a while ago, but I remember seeing his and I was like, oh, he's using it. Cool. So that I'm glad I didn't because now he's doing a lot with it, probably more than I would have done. So I'm glad that I didn't use it. But that was, again, it's like I just get so tired of oh, well, thank you for your service, but then they give you that space. Like, I just don't know what he's going to do. He seems like he may just, he's probably got
Yeah.
PTSD and he probably killed somebody or something. And it's just, he's probably weird. And I'm like,
Yeah,
like, just
reality is
stop. Like,
none of those things are
yeah,
true.
yeah, exactly. And
I know people who
I,
went to
yeah.
combat as infantrymen and never fired their weapon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of those guys. Yeah. That's,
Like,
you know,
and I mean,
that's just
like,
the nature of the conflict we were in,
right.
that, and even the guys that did, a lot of them never even saw the people they were shooting at. They knew that it was coming from that building.
Right. And
So we're going to shoot at that building, shoot that way. Like, and people are like, well, you have to have positive ID before you shoot. It's like, okay, I can positive identify there are bullets coming at me from that building. I'm going to shoot at that building so they can stop shooting at me. So
right.
anyway, it's just, it's
It's,
different and people,
the whole narrative I've spent some serious time on my speech for Reagan Library because I wanted to make sure that this speech highlights all the things that my service brought into my life. Whether those
yeah,
things are good or bad, they all brought good things into my life
yes, yep,
because they taught me something.
yeah,
And this is going to sound like just a crazy conspiracy theory, but I have a theory on all of this and the victimhood and all of this. So I think you and I would both agree that, at least from an infantry perspective, from a Marine perspective, when you join the military and you start to grow your ranks, you definitely learn how to be a leader. And if you're lucky enough to make it into the NCO, non-commissioned officer world, you are definitely getting leadership training. And that is more than what majority of the people across America get,
yes,
which is why people, rightly so, say some of our best leaders are the people who are, join the military, are veterans.
yes,
Now, with all of that being said, where do the majority of military personnel and veterans lie? Right or left? I would say
right. I
solidly
would say,
independent to the right.
yes, yeah,
Most veterans, I say, 50, there's some data on this. It's just over 51% say they consider themselves an independent. And then when you look within those numbers, it's an overwhelming that leans to the right. And then when
yeah,
you add all
yep,
those numbers together, it really is like 70% lean
yeah,
towards the right, at least.
right.
Or as I'm pointing off to the left.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But
Yeah. We say that. No, I'm saying we say the right. We mean the right, whether my
right.
camera says I'm pointing right or left. Yeah. Anyway.
So in all of this, right, it would stand to assume that after 20 years, the military has produced thousands and thousands of leaders that are out in our world
Yes.
that identify more as conservative than they do as Democrat. Now,
Yep.
something that I've never been able to figure out since I got on the Hill was that when you walk into any Democratic person's office, and this is a true story, you never get pushback on what you're asking for. Very rarely do you ever hear no from a Democrat. Almost always, sure, absolutely. You need that? Sure, we'll give you that. You get
Yeah.
into conservative members' offices and they start asking tough questions like, what's this going to cost? How many people do you expect to help? Right? Like legitimate
Yeah.
qualifying questions that should have been
Right.
asked in the other office too.
Yeah. That should be asked just all the
Just
time.
to say. Now, I appreciate your blanket support of me and my
Yeah.
community. I'm not going to
Right.
say that I don't appreciate it. I'm just going to
Yeah.
say if I were in that scenario, I would be
Yeah.
asking those tough questions regardless. So I don't
Yes.
fault, the right for asking. I don't fault the left for not asking. I'm just pointing out some observations. So one of the things I could never understand is why the theory is that Republicans are the ones who always support the military and the Democrats don't. Because in my experience, it's kind of like the opposite, right? I'm having to
Right.
qualify everything. I'm having to ask for everything with the Republicans. The Democrats are just carte blanche, like whatever you need. And then it hit me about a year ago. What if that is the point? If all you're ever doing is just promoting and giving these programs that keep you in a victim mentality, then you keep these thousands of leaders, which would most likely lean right, on their couch broken than you do out in the community living a life.
Yeah. Yep.
See,
Just
you
being
can,
existing in society, you have a positive impact. And a
right.
lot of these guys decide they don't want to even be a part of society anymore. And they would rather just take
There's no
their
incentive.
paycheck, yeah, there's
What's
no
the
incentive
incentive?
to do anything other than exist, in isolation and maintain that mentality, you know.
Uh, and so, like, I
And you
know
say
that's
it's a
kind of a
conspiracy
far
theory,
out
but
there.
I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree with you, just so you know. I don't know if anybody else will or if we'll get, hate from this, and I don't really care.
I
I
don't.
completely agree. And
At this
that's I
point,
think that's
I've solidly picked a team. I mean, at this
yeah.
point, like,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
solidly
I'm on the
picked a
team. I
team,
don't
and
yeah.
people will confuse that team as being, a straight conservative member, but I'm Team God,
Yeah.
and Team God believes in opening up that tent to everybody and to
Yeah.
being a tide that lifts all boats. And all that he asks in return is honesty and for our hearts.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, we can be fallible. We can make mistakes. We're going to sin. Like, all of these
Yeah.
things are real things that are going to happen. But all that he asks for is, our hearts. And then when we do these wrong things, that when we recognize they're wrong, we repent and we turn away from that sin.
Yep. Yep.
He expects that. He knows that. And so
Yes.
when I look at all of this, I'm like, man, we have an entire generation of veterans that, instead of rising up like, the World War II generation did, to effectively lead this generation into a new way of thinking, a new way of wealth and building and community, we've effectively kept them on the couch, drugged out.
Yeah.
And we've told them it's
Yes.
okay. It's okay that you guys are like this
Yeah.
because you
You
should
served our
be.
country. It's okay. Yeah. You experienced a lot. It's okay that to lay on the couch and to stay at home and just take the
And
medicine that we give you and just kind of, we'll provide for you because you have disabilities. So we'll give you whatever, a couple $1,000s a month to
well, it's like,
exist,
I know a guy that I served with, got blown up. I know one time with me, like on Valentine's Day, dude had a
Yeah.
big old piece of shrapnel and, the chin strap came down. The
Yeah.
shrapnel got stuck in the chin strap, but,
Mm.
barely
Yeah.
broke skin, right? So he's in the gunner's hatch. He doesn't have 100%. He's medically retired from the military. He doesn't have 100% with the VA. And then I
Yeah.
know guys that are now getting 100% that never even deployed to war, never saw war. And I'm not trying to say that we need to look at what your MOS or job level was as far as you didn't do enough for you. No, bullshit.
Right.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm
Yep.
talking about a set of policies that we have in place that tell the evaluator how they're going to evaluate a condition. And I
Yeah.
don't understand how people who have not seen combat or war, and I don't mean on the gun shooting back and forth. I mean, just
Right.
deployed to a combat zone or war, right? Can end up with 100% unless there was some significant training accident
Yep.
or a significant MST.
Yeah. Yep. And unfortunately, you have guys that go through those things, MST or a significant training accident, that don't get what they deserve. And
Right.
it's just
And
that's why
yet
they're
somebody who
disenfranchised with, the VA and everything else because they're like, why does this guy have 100% and I've only got 30 or 40, and I'm barely getting anything.
I,
And this guy's getting, you know,
I'm going to be careful when I say this, and I'm not going to say names, but I'm sure you have people that reach out and send you crap, right? Like,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you haven't yet, you will, right? Hey, you should report on that. You should share this. You
Yeah.
should do that.
Yep.
And I've been getting
Yep.
it since I've had about 20,000 followers. So I would imagine
Yeah.
you get it all, not,
Yep.
may not get it all the time, but
Pretty regularly. Yeah.
at least once a week, I'm getting at least one of these things, right? And so in all of this, we're talking about all of these ways that people should, what they should get for disability. And so,
Yeah.
I pushed for the PACT Act because one of the things that I struggled with the PACT Act is if somebody dies from one of these cancers, right? Friend Wesley, colon cancer, he died. Now, it's very clear that what he has is a rare cancer that most likely came from a burn pit. It's his job to prove it. And his story is a little kind of
Right.
crazy because he ended up being able to sue the VA because they missed the diagnosis and a number of things. So he ended up ultimately being somewhat taken care of for his family. But if
Yeah.
that wouldn't have happened that way, and he would have just passed of colon cancer caused by burn pits, his family wouldn't have been entitled to any of the benefits that they would have been entitled to if he died from, a service caused injury.
Right.
Big difference in like monthly compensation and other benefits that you get.
Yeah.
So for me, I saw the PACT Act not necessarily as, an in run around solving issues. I saw like the reason I pushed for it was I want people who die from these illnesses, their benefits to go to their family. And they
Yeah.
shouldn't have to fight for that because they weren't the ones who went to war. Now, because the PACT Act has been signed into law, and don't get me wrong, I am super proud of all the work I did on that, and I will never change my opinion on that. People who now have asthma are getting bumped up from 80% to 100%, while
Yeah.
people never having been deployed outside of just to Kuwait, right? Where don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, you're still breathing some nasty shit and nasty air.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's perfect, but there are no burn pits that are being used in Kuwait.
Right.
Never.
Yep. So how does that apply to the PACT Act?
And so this is
Yeah.
where we get into these, conversations about, well, what does this even look like? And then you have to start asking, well, what does this mean long term if people are able to get these things and these big of rating jumps? Now,
Yeah.
what they sent me was all the paperwork for this. How they got it, I think Freedom of Information Act, because there's some stuff redacted and they want me to cover it. Like I don't do podcasts. I don't do this.
Right.
So I don't understand it, why they would send it to me, but maybe they'll send it to you now that I'm on here. So
Right.
my point in this is like, even as we're making these headways that will help post 9/11 veterans, they're still being exploited in ways that
Yeah.
will allow veterans and encourage veterans to stay on the couch. And
Yeah.
see, the biggest thing for me in all of this is, and I know you've heard this, and every veteran should be worried about this, is when they start talking about your compensation and disability payments being means tested. And that has been floated 4 or 5 times in this past 6 months.
Yeah.
And the
Now, what does that
reason
mean?
why is because all of these VSOs keep coming up there every year saying, we need more, we need more, we need more,
Yeah.
we need more. Instead of saying, hey, these programs aren't working, we should scrap them and take this money to move it to here. Once a
Yeah.
program gets made, it never gets ended. But if it doesn't work, why shouldn't you still be funding it?
Yeah. Yep. No.
I could go on and on, but the biggest thing that
Yeah.
I've learned and why I'm persona non grata every time I show up on the Hill and get all kinds of nasty looks for people left and right is that, like, I don't hold back from this anymore. Show me what good you've done for veterans. Most of these organizations have been around for long enough time that they should be able to put in front of me a whole host of people that they've changed their lives. And
Yeah.
those people should be able to show not just, yeah, they changed my life to allow me to sit on a fucking couch. They should be able to
Yeah.
show I've done X, Y, and Z. And I don't mean like it's got to be big, like wheelchairs to Nepal or this or that. Just like My community needs refs. If you're good at sports or
Yeah.
you like football, go become a ref and ref football. Don't just sit on the
Yeah.
couch. Like,
Go
you
be a
may not
substitute
be able to
teacher.
work a full-time
Yeah.
job, but that doesn't mean you're
Yep.
not have some benefit to society or to us at large. And in
Yeah.
any point, man, we're like so far over.
Yeah.
I told you I keep my Fridays open, man. So like this was actually the best day for you to do this because if we would have done
Right.
this yesterday, a hard stop would have happened at
Right.
12,
Been like,
12.
nope, we're done. Yeah. No, it's
So
same with
like
me. I don't have a whole lot going on
Friday
this morning,
mornings
but
are mine. I hardly
yeah.
ever give them up. But I also wanted to do this podcast. And I knew that it would probably have been towards the end of October before you and I would get there. Just a heads up, I'm going to be putting out a whole ton of shit all around Veterans Day, as you could
Yeah.
probably imagine.
Right.
So, if you have this ready anywhere near that time frame, I'll slide some clips of us into the things that I'm
Yeah.
advertising, for my book.
Okay, cool.
And then
So
I'll also,
back to your book.
yeah,
I wanted to give you the opportunity to share your book. I know we were going to talk a little bit more about
yeah,
that, but I think we
I'm
got off on a
horrible with
bunch of
this.
stuff. But no,
If
it's
you
fine.
if
I
you
want you to
can't
be able
tell,
to.
man, like how much actual talking did I do about my book? Like none.
Yeah.
I am so horrible with this type of shit. It pisses my my branding and marketing person off all the time. She's like,
Right.
she listens to every one of these podcasts and she comes back to me and she's like, "You didn't talk enough about your book." And
Yeah.
I'm like, didn't come up. You need
Right.
to sell more. I'm her test case. She just broke off
Yeah.
from Dr. Pepper. And so
Yeah.
I'm one of her, she's giving me all of her time for free. I've known her my whole life. And so
Yeah.
she's like, if you're not going to take this shit seriously, then I'm going to,
I'm gonna leave.
well, and I don't blame her because, you know, she's counting on me making it so that I can be a
Yeah.
test case for her. And then
Right.
she can
Yeah.
point to, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I hear you. So,
Yeah.
here's what I'll say. Anybody out there, for any of the veterans that are out there struggling with, you know, moving forward in life and turning the chapter, I would encourage you to go out and buy Canyon of Hope From Darkness to Dawn. It's going to do one of two things to you. It's either going to open some doors and make you think about some things in ways that you haven't, or you're going to be like, it's a bullshit book. I can do better. But either way, it's motivated you off the couch. And that is
Yep.
what my goal is, right? It's to give you a roadmap to get yourself back out into the community, beating the leader that this country trained you to be, because we need it more in our communities now than we ever have. So that'll
Yep.
be my
Well,
push.
and I can, you know, I have it here. I've put some bookmarks in. I don't know if you can see them, but I've highlighted some stuff that was really good that
And
spoke
then
to me
I
through the
sent
book.
you the Canyon of Hope moral injury guide too, didn't I?
I don't think so.
In the did I not send that to you?
I got a little card
You got a card, but on the
that
back of the
was
book,
personalized.
that there wasn't a secondary book in there? No, no, I mean like you know how it came in the plastic?
If it was a no, no, because I actually, you know what? I have an unboxing video of the book. I can go back and look at that just to be sure, but I'm about 99% sure that I didn't get a second book because
Oh,
I opened it in my office and
they were
yeah.
supposed to that was I'm going to take the blame for it, but there should have been a book here. I'm going to scooch away for a second.
Okay.
This book should have
Okay. I
come
can
with it.
100% say I did not get that book
Okay.
because I was going to say I'm losing my mind because I feel I know I didn't get anything else,
Okay.
but no,
I'm gonna
I did
send
not
it
have
to
that in
you
there. Okay.
regardless. I'll get it out in the next mail that goes out. That should have come with it. And the reason I wanted to send that to you is it's a guidebook for moral injury. So it really
Yeah.
takes moral injury and breaks it down to how I saw it, how I used it, and then it carries with Canyon of Hope. So it pulls from references of Canyon of Hope and how
Yeah.
and why moral injury was a factor there. So I'll get you that. I really thought that should have been in that little plastic thing with you. So
Well, I appreciate it.
no, I tried the intern thing and that didn't work out either. I
You
tried a
didn't
couple
have the
this
same
summer and it just
drive that I have.
well, like I need help. And that's like the
Yeah.
thing that it's like you need it and then people are asking and it's like, all right, I want to help, so they needed it. They only needed like
Yep.
3 weeks of hours. And so
Yeah.
like I'm like, well, here's some bullshit stuff, dude. And then they fuck that up. Like
Yeah.
your book.
Like, this is the easiest task I could possibly give you, and you messed it up.
I handed the book, like, here's 2 books, here's this, send this. The address should be in the address book for UPS. If it's not, add the address into my UPS book or into the USPS book. Add them in
Yeah.
there so we don't have to do it in the future. What do you mean by that? So I'm going to assume that your address is in there. If not, I still have it. But
Yeah. Well, the book got here, so we
yeah,
know that
I
the
will see
address is
that
good. So
there are, I had, I had one intern this summer who threw away all the books.
why?
They didn't want to go to the post office. So in this book, like some of these were
Nope.
paid, people who paid like for it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then some were just like, I'm sending them out, right? And they were like the people that would have been incredibly, well, I mean, they eventually got the book, but the
Right.
timing was for something else, and then that just totally got screwed from that. But they're
Wow.
influential people. When I asked the
Yeah.
question why, they're like, well, I didn't feel like when I saw who they were for, I just didn't feel like going to the office. One of them was for Vice President Pence. I'm
It's like
assuming
I
that's the one they saw because
yeah.
that was the most
Right.
controversial figure in there. Vice President Pence is a really amazing person. He's an Indiana boy, like, you know, I get that in the MAGA world, like, is what it is. But
Yep.
from my perspective, I met him in 2022 when his book just came out. I got invited to a CNN town hall where they were doing his book, and I ended up sitting next to his wife and publisher and all of that, and got to talk with him afterwards. And then he saw that I was giving the Memorial Day speech in Carmel, Indiana, where I live, where my business is.
Hmm.
And so he came over to see me at that speech. During the whole time that I was dealing with cancer, his guys kept reaching out, just want to make sure you're okay. I've
Yeah.
worked with people for 8, 10 years. Not one of those people called to see how I was doing while I was going through
Yeah.
cancer. And yet
So yeah, there would be a reason that
you want me to
yeah.
not like this guy. I mean, I give
Yeah. Yeah.
another anecdotal
Right.
story that's just like crazy.
Yeah.
So I get I find out I'm going on the 700 club for my book, right? Biggest like opportunity
Yeah.
for me to come from that book, in my opinion, so far. Reagan Library too. Um,
Yeah.
but I haven't done that yet, right? So like I
Right.
don't count that. Anyways, I tell somebody who's pretty influential in my world that I'm going to go on the 700 club. And their response was, "Oh, watch out. They're pretty Christian." Well, aren't we too?
Say, I
And he's
I don't
like,
want to. I hate to break this to you, but I feel like I fall into that category as well.
well, I mean, they're a more fundamental type of Christian. Just, be careful how you
Yeah.
speak. And I'm like, well, what do
Yeah.
you mean? And they're like, you cuss a lot, Eric. I'm like, but I don't cuss on TV. I don't
Right. Right.
cuss just to be
I
cussing. There are
yeah.
times where I choose to cuss because I feel it's
Right.
more appropriate in that moment to use that word. Well, I'm just letting you, they're not gonna. And I'm like, my balloon is like
Yeah.
shrinking and it's going
Yeah.
down. And so I get out there and I am so nervous, right? Because of this conversation.
Yeah.
And like, it's the first time I'm in a big TV studio, like doing something live. I've always done remote. So it's like impersonal, right? Like I'm not feeling like, God, I'm on
Right.
TV. And so I'm actually really nervous and I slip up, not on air, behind the scenes,
Yeah.
they get me talking like we did. And I'm like, oh, that
Yeah.
piece of shit. And my mouth just drops and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I like, and they're like, they're laughing and they're like,
Yeah.
why are you apologizing? I
Yeah.
just cursed, and I
Hey,
know that you guys look, I don't curse, and a lot of people here don't curse. But that doesn't mean that we're gonna judge you because you do. You were in the infantry. I'm pretty sure
right.
it's like, mandatory
It's
that you throw in a
yeah.
cuss word there after every,
Yeah.
like, 5 or 6 words.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
we don't want you to do it
Nobody
on
will
air.
understand you if you don't.
We don't want you to do it on air, but, I mean, like, we're not gonna judge you. That was my whole experience. They didn't judge me once. And so, like, and that was my start into, like, this other world, and it's like, I sit there and I'm like, all these people, like, what's the agenda? And then it always comes back to that. And so it's just that's why I you know, I'm very careful about who I offer or who I say I want to work with. If I've told
Yeah.
you I want to work with you or I've agreed to come onto your podcast, it's because I admire you
Yeah.
and I admire what you're doing. Not because I'm
Yep.
some big star or any of that. I just don't care. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yep. If
like,
I don't
at
like
the
you, I'm
end of
just
the
not gonna come
day,
on.
like, if what you're doing doesn't align with the values that I have, I'm not gonna hang out with you. I'm not gonna say you're a
Right.
bad person, but I'm not gonna give you
Yeah.
my time
Yeah.
until you can show me or demonstrate to me why you think it's worth it. If you want to have a legitimate conversation where it's kind of a prove me wrong type thing, where we literally in good faith come into it knowing we disagree, but we're going to,
Yeah.
in good faith, debate each other in a way that's healthy and positive for each of us, I'm totally game.
Yeah.
But if you're
Yep.
just going to come in there and try to blindside me with some shit, which has happened before,
Yeah. Or expect you to just jump on board with their bandwagon and be all supportive of them. And it's
right?
like not necessarily like I
Yeah,
support
and what's funny about it is
what I
neither one of
support.
them have aired. One of them, I saw what they were doing, so I gave them nothing,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
just get kinda quiet.
Yeah. You're like, I'll just wait. Make
Mhm.
this as awkward as possible.
Right? And you shake your head when you
Yep.
agree or you don't agree, you're
Yeah.
like, "So what do you think about that?" I mean, it's interesting. I'd like to know a little bit more about this from your perspective. Just
Yeah.
throw right back to them, and
Right. You're
then
like, here you go.
literally it's like, "Oh, we've hit our time, gotta go."
Yeah. Sorry.
And
I'm out of
then,
here.
the
See you later.
other side of the coin, it's like the debate, they won't show it because they lose.
Right.
They
That's so
can't and
frustrating.
it's not about, "Hey,
Yeah.
my understanding of Christ
Right.
or biblical knowledge and scripture is, like, off the chart." It's not. I'm not a Charlie
Yeah.
Kirk. I'm not ever gonna be a
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk. I'm not a pastor. I'm never gonna be a pastor. And then you'll probably very rarely ever hear me quote a Bible quote because I have traumatic brain injury, which means I forget things, not
Yeah.
intentionally. And
Right.
and so I can think I'm 100% wrong, but I got a "but" and an "and" mixed up. And then the next thing you know, you're in all kinds of trouble. It's already
Oh yeah.
happened. It'll never happen again because 'cause I'm like, "Okay, learn my lesson." Like,
Right.
I'm not trying to insult anyone. So I'm just, "Okay, this is my feeling, and the reason I feel this way is because of my understanding of what God wrote and the way God is communicating to me."
Yeah. Yep.
And
And I
that's it.
I yep. That's the thing that I'm trying to just talking to people because I've had a lot of people come to me and be like, "What do you feel about this? What do you believe about that?" And I'm like, "Oh, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you. Like, I'll just I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to be rude or mean about it, but I'm just going to tell you exactly what I believe. And I've had a couple people be like, "Well, I don't agree with that." I'm like, "Okay." Like that's that is your prerogative. Thankfully, we live in a country where you can say I don't agree with that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. You know, and it's the ability to be able to have a disagreement with somebody and still be on speaking terms and still be cordial and still be polite and even be friendly with each other is a skill that we have lost as a society.
Oh,
And it's like, well,
100%.
I disagree with you, and we can't be friends. Why? Like, why not? So you don't believe in God? Okay, like,
We don't get
got it.
along on
Or
everything else. You didn't have
yeah,
fun hanging out
right,
when we went and shop? Okay, because
yeah,
yeah, no, I mean, that's been the last year and a half of my life, man.
yeah,
I've never I this past year and a half of my life, I've never felt more alone than I have during this time frame. You know, my inner core, the ones that I would turn to with everything, they're all gone. I got my wife and I'm grateful for that, but there's a lot that as a husband, you're not, you know, it's not that you're not going to
Yep.
share, but it's just how you share it, right? You know, you're
Right.
not going to be
Yep.
like, "Hey, I'm afraid we're not going to be able to make all the bills this month." You're not going to say it that way unless
Yep.
unless you're not going to make all the bills that month, right?
Yeah.
You're going to carry that stress until you know for sure, and then
Yeah.
you're gonna say, "But here's my plan for doing that," right? Like,
Right.
the thing that we need to do a better job of in understanding in this world is that it is healthy to share, and it is
Yeah.
just as healthy to share and move on.
Yes. Yep.
Because if you stay sitting talking about a problem for too long, that
Yep.
problem is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to manifest into a bigger
Yes.
problem and a bigger problem and a bigger problem. It never goes away. It's also what you
Yep.
tell yourself every day. I'm broke. I'm broke. Guess what? You're broke.
Then
Hey, I
yep.
can
Then
do
you
this.
believe it.
I can do this. It's going to be a challenge. I don't know exactly how I'm going to get through all of these scenarios that I have to overcome, but this
Yep.
seems like I'm being called for it. I need to do it.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's where as a veteran community, I mean, as a society as a whole, we've lost it. But
Yes.
as a veteran community, that's the one community that I think has the skill set and the basis enough to be able to rebound quickly and change the narrative through example. That
Yeah.
only happens when we stop selling veterans as being broke. And that only
Yep.
happens when the people who represent us out in DC decide to stop that narrative. And again,
You're
why aren't
right.
any of these people being held accountable? Like organizations.
Yep.
Why isn't
I
there
mean, how much
you
yeah.
you raise hundreds of millions of dollars every year?
Yep.
What are you
Show me
doing
what
with
you've done
that
with it.
money?
Yep.
Where's it all
Show me what
going?
you've done with it. Yeah.
Where
Well,
are
that's
all the
like and
people
again,
you've healed?
let's get in political just a little bit here, not a whole lot because I
Yeah.
don't want to, but the whole Doge thing at the beginning of this presidential term. They found all this money, all these organizations that were being, they were getting money that it was for the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. How many people have actually been arrested or put in jail and held accountable for what they were doing? I think there was like two maybe that got arrested and there was one organization or they were in charge of a bunch and I can't even verify that. That's all I heard was there was like two people that were being charged. Whether they got arrested, put in jail, no idea. But I mean,
The
that's
idea
the
behind Doge, in my opinion, is absolutely needed.
oh
Take this
yeah,
from somebody
100%.
you know, still has someone on the chopping block, right? You
Yeah.
don't see me here going, "Hey, we don't need to find a better way to do government. We don't need to cut
Yeah.
costs." We
Yeah.
do. We're
Yeah. We
spending
absolutely
more
do.
money than we take in. You know, you could talk about whether we should raise taxes or lower taxes to fill that gap,
Yeah.
but it's not going to fill the entire gap. You have
No.
to look at how everything is working and are we
Yes.
utilizing the best resources of our taxpayers in the best way. And so
Yes.
take the VA for example. I have a great scenario for here, right? 88,000 people lost their job. It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. The VAs
Yep.
we're going to be waiting forever. So back in May, I got a phone call that I needed to go through and do an update to my system, address, all of that kind of stuff. Now, the reason that is an issue is because I have my account locked because it got hacked into and they tried to divert my VA disability money. So when that happens, I was like, how can we keep this happening again? And they're like, you lock it. And the only way that you can do this is by personally being on the phone for certain things or for other things going into an actual office to do the work.
Yep.
Lock it. I don't want
Yep.
this problem again. So I had to come to a point where I had to update my information. You have to do that every 3 years when you have that lock in place. So they call me and I go to update my information and they're like, give me all information. Like, okay. So I'm like, this is going to be a pain in the ass. Always takes 2.5 hours. All right. It took me 10 minutes.
But I thought they
I've done it.
fired
I've done
88,000
it
people.
4 times total,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Every time it's taken more than 2.5 hours.
Yep.
This year, it took me 10 minutes, maybe 12.
Yeah. Maybe 12. Maybe I'm exaggerating. It was 12 minutes. Sorry.
I mean, it was like, and the reason I said 10 and maybe, and 12 is because the call was like 12 minutes and 19 seconds. I'm pretty sure I took
Right.
a screenshot of it. Right.
Yep.
And then you're on hold, right, for a little
Yeah.
bit. So I was on hold for
Uh-huh.
like 2 minutes.
Yep.
Now,
But they fired 88,000
88,000
people.
people have just been let go.
I thought we were gonna have 6-hour long wait times when the national park system is gonna collapse because they fired all the park rangers that,
And
and
again,
I'm like, guys, I don't think you
and
understand
hear me when I say
how.
this, man. Like, I am
Yeah.
not just for willy-nilly firing people.
No,
Every
absolutely
single
not.
one of those people have a family or
Yes.
have something that they rely on that income for.
Yes.
And it is not something that I'm celebrating like, "Oh, yeah, shit can a
Nope.
whole bunch of people." But what I am saying is, like, we as a country have to have a conversation about what does our spending look like in this government?
Yes.
And
Yes.
what do we find is acceptable? What are our priorities? Because
Yes.
what's getting pushed and what's getting funded isn't necessarily what's important to us.
Yes. Exactly. And a lot of it is being done behind our backs
Mhm,
and without anybody's knowledge, except for a very few select people, and it's still getting approved and funded. And that's money coming directly from us. The government does not have money. The
mhm,
government uses the money that we pay
mhm,
to it to fund these things. So if there's programs that are being funded, and that's the whole point of Doge and the point of exposing this and saying, why are we sending money to fund circumcisions in another country or to fund transgender opera in an African country? Like, again, if that's a program that someone wants to push and they want to support that, or for whatever reasons, okay, that could be argued for or against, whatever. The point is, why is it being done so discreetly, and why is it being funded with taxpayer money?
Well,
And
I'll go back to the GI Bill. Why not
yeah,
just give all the money that you're gonna give to the university and veteran to the veteran?
to the veteran, exactly. Because
Make sure they have a mentor,
yeah,
right? And
yep,
a plan for how they're gonna use that money.
yep. And you don't even have to give it to them right away. You can make them go through all this process
Right, well,
of,
that's what I'm
you have
getting.
to
You
learn
you
this. You
could
got
give it to them in
right.
payments,
You have a
right?
process. Yes, you give it
Over
to
the
them,
s
yeah, or payments. Yeah,
over the
and
4
and
years,
then
right? Same
then
fucking thing.
show right, and then show, hey, what have you done with this money? Show me X, Y, and Z for what you've done. Okay, here's,
Did you buy a
my,
house and not have a
yeah,
house payment now?
yeah.
Yeah, good
God
for
forbid that
you.
you actually own something outright. Oh, there we go again. Here we go.
No, but
God
you
forbid you
see what
actually
I'm
own
saying? Like,
property.
when we
Yes,
talk about
yes,
this, right? When you talk about an in-state university and getting your tuition, you're talking about 4 years at roughly, let's
yeah,
just undervalue what we're saying, 30,000 a year is what the VA
yep,
is paying these schools. Let's just say
yeah,
that's it. That's 120,000. You add in the money that the veteran gets each month. That's another
yep,
pool. So roughly around 150,000. If you're in rural Indiana, like right now, you could buy the only bar that exists in Walkerton, Indiana for 140,000. You get the building. It's got an apartment above. It's got the bar
yep,
below. It comes with the liquor license and all the stuff down below, and you've got a business ready to go.
and a place to live or rent
And you
for
don't
somebody
have
else
to
to live
worry
in.
about paying any payments on that loan
Yes,
because it's not a loan.
it's not a loan.
You just
It's your money.
decided instead of going to school and wasting it on some fucking college and university that's going to pay some
liberal arts degree that, yeah.
bitch ass professor who doesn't like you in the first place. That's the biggest reason I
Who's who's
also
been
never
tenured
went back to school.
and doesn't care any about what they say because the university can't touch them, so they'll say and do anything they want.
Yeah, well, and they
So
don't like if they find, like University of Alaska, I will not say this about because it is made up of a large majority of veterans, but the other universities that I have attended to, like when they found out that I was a vet, man, like they didn't want to help me. Like unless I subscribe to their thinking, they think
yeah,
I'm just troubled.
yeah, yep,
And so,
and yeah,
like, for me as
yep,
an adult, I'm like, well, what you're saying to these young kids is bullshit.
yeah,
You're not actually teaching
and
them, you're indoctrinating them. You should be giving
and
them
this,
both sides of
yep,
the argument and say, pick. And both sides of the
yes,
argument should be just as passionate.
yes, yep, and if you can't be subjective, then you shouldn't be there. If you can't take your opinion and put it aside to teach subjectively or objectively, I'm sorry, if you can't be objective, you shouldn't be teaching. And that was
But
one of my biggest issues with when they teach creationism versus evolution. They only teach evolution in schools, right?
mm,
They refuse to teach creationism because, well, that's religion. It doesn't have to be. Like, why can't you just teach that this, according to creationism, an intelligent designer placed life on Earth and allowed it to begin, gave it the framework to begin, right? And then you just talk through that process, whether you use the Bible as a reference. You don't even really have to, because you can
right,
look at nature and say, this looks like it was designed by someone. Okay, it doesn't look like it just came together. But no, that's implying an intelligent designer, which is implying God. Like, I never said God, I just said an intelligent designer. You implied God, okay?
right.
Why can't you just put both side by side and teach them and let somebody make an educated decision? Oh wait, that's because you don't actually want them to be educated, you want them to be indoctrinated. But
I was
that's,
taught that when I was a kid. I mean,
yeah.
I'm
I
47.
went to a Christian school, and I went to a Christian school, so I was taught creationism, but they also taught us this is what the other side believes. This is what the people in public school believe. And I was looking at that, and I'm like in elementary school, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, so you're telling me that nothing just popped into something, and all of a sudden it created all this? Like, it just doesn't make sense,
Well, if I'm
you
supposed
know.
to come from monkeys, why are there still monkeys?
And I've done a lot of research, and it's a kind of a passion of mine to study the creation and the statistical improbability of the chance of evolution and all this coming together by chance. So I have a lot of reading history of my own in that. So I mean, it's wild when you look at the numbers and the actual numerical statistics of the possibility and the improbability of it happening. It's if I could show you the numbers on a board and be like, this many zeros equals impossible. Okay.
Right.
Like, we're well beyond that threshold. So it's super interesting to me. But again, why can't you just teach both sides
Bro, well, I
and
mean,
let the kids make a decision? But they don't want to. That's the point, is they don't want you to be educated. They want you to be
there
just
really isn't even 2
indoctrinated.
sides, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
That, exactly. When you,
like
yeah,
that's I think where the larger pushback comes in the community, right? Like, so in the spirit of talking about Charlie Kirk, one of the things that I
yeah,
really identified and agreed with him on, because this is solidly there, is that
yeah.
when people sit here and say, you know, our government wasn't founded on religion, that is not true.
It's not true. It's not true.
They're talking about a
And he could prove
separation
that
of church and
very,
state.
yeah,
And we can
yeah,
get to that in a second. But when we talk about the founding of our fathers, or, founding forefathers, and this
yeah,
country wasn't built on religion, number one, the entire structure of our government is built around the Protestant religion.
yes. The
So right there,
Constitution,
I'm like,
all of it, all of it.
what the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, like,
And then they're like, and
okay,
the fact that God is mentioned at all in the Constitution
yeah,
should matter. It's mentioned
yeah,
4 times. And then when you read the Constitution through and through, you realize that what at that time mattered more was the states and their rights and their
yeah,
constitutions. And when you
Yes.
go to the state constitutions, almost every single state constitution has some sort of profession of faith when it was originally written and intended.
Yes.
So
Yep.
when I'm sitting here looking at this, and when Charlie Kirk says this, he's very accurate, and I believe it to be 100% correct, which is,
Yep.
you know, we have a Christian formed government, but we no longer have a Christian formed population. And the
Yes.
two of them can no
They
longer
can't.
coexist.
Exactly. And that's where the dichotomy exists between the two is like, well, we're a Christian nation. No, we're not. We have a Christian set of form of government, a set of documents that was based and founded on Christianity and the Protestant religion, and a group of people that live in this country that no longer believe that way. And the two, they can't coexist. And that's where the problem comes in. And that's where we have all of these people saying that the Constitution is no longer valid and it needs to be changed and all these other things. It's like, no, it's just not valid to you because you don't believe the way the founding fathers did, which ultimately is their goal, is to make people believe and stop believe and believe that the founding fathers, that one, that's not what they intended, and two, that they were never actually Christians in the first place because some of them had slaves and some of them didn't free their slaves immediately and all this, and it's wild, the stuff that they get into to try and confuse people and muddy the waters. But
There's always, I mean, at the end of the day, like the way that I see it and I encourage people to see it is use your fucking common sense. At what point in our world, as a father of a daughter, at what point in our world does it make sense to me that a man, grown man, should be allowed to go into a female bathroom should he identify as a female? Like,
I know.
just like everybody wants to get in there. And I get that most transgenders individuals are not people who would harm a kid. Like, that's not why I'm saying it.
Yep.
What I'm saying is, I am smart enough to understand that the deviants in this
Hmm.
world will use that law as a means to achieve their means to an end.
Yes.
And so, if their means is to video record women in bathrooms, which
Yeah.
when all of this went into law, if you again, it's hard to find this shit, but when you Google it, and you get
Yeah.
into that, you
Yep.
can. Like all of those, hidden cameras, like female bathrooms, all of that content went through the roof.
Yes.
Like through the roof.
Yes.
And yet,
But they want to say there's not a correlation.
and
It's
so,
like you can't just look at the timeline and tell me that
and
that
how
there's
is
no
that
correlation,
fair to me who needs to send my 14-year-old daughter in to go to
Yeah.
the restroom?
Yes. I mean, I have two daughters. They're, 10
And
and 6. And I can't I will go into a bathroom and look around before I send them in there because I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to,
right,
and it's like, or I'll tell them, go in there. If you see somebody in there, like you see their feet or you see somebody, and you're not comfortable, you immediately come back out and I'll take them into the bathroom with me and we'll go into a closed stall or
right,
whatever. But I have to keep that in mind because it's people, they will use it to their advantage. And that advantage is only to them and other people
right,
with a deviant mind like them. Not saying, like you said, not all of them, but the ones that are doing it are, the ones that
right.
are using that for their advantage are, and they're going to use it to their advantage. And it,
We're
again,
creating, like, the problem is when you start creating laws that only affect everyone, but only apply to a small percentage of
yes,
Americans, and it's not for something good. Like,
right.
you know, you can't deny a black person based on color a job. That's a pretty good
Yeah.
rule to have,
Like
let's
this,
just
I
say,
don't know why
right?
that would anybody would argue with that.
A rule to say you have to be okay with a man dressed up as a woman using a woman's bathroom. Like,
Like, no,
one here, like
why?
you're missing a whole section of
Yeah.
shit. And then
Yes.
when you dig into this theory, there's a whole slew to this, but have you ever heard the why it's called LGBTQ plus and what the plus is for?
I've heard some things, but nothing. I'm sure whatever
You
you're about
can
to tell me, I
decide
probably
whether
haven't heard, but
you can decide whether you want to share this all. I don't talk about shit I'm not willing to have go out. So you're never like, you're not going to
right.
get from me like, oh, what the fuck did you put that out there for?
Yeah. Why'd you put that out there? Yeah.
So I came across this reel. I've come across a number of these reels, but there's one in particular that I saved. And if I can find it easily, I'll send it to you on Instagram. And it is an older lesbian who is speaking about her community and the LGBTQ. And what she goes on to say the plus is for a larger purpose, which is where they're moving and why so much money is being put into this fight with transgenders. Like when you
Yeah.
think about, homosexuality and the fight that they had and how it took to get those recognition and this and that. And then when you look at transgender and the shortened time frame that it all happened with, there's a ton of money that was put into those that campaign, and it's not entirely clear where all of that money has come from that is supporting this transgender movement.
Yeah.
According to her, all of that money is getting funneled into because what they're trying to do is to create and normalize all of these relationships so
Yeah.
that they can get to the adults who identify as someone who is attracted to a minor.
Yeah. I have heard that. Yeah. And that's the scary part where it's like
And it's
that.
so it's like, if that isn't what your community is about, then
Mhm.
why wouldn't you be out there fighting that narrative?
Yeah. Because all it's going to do is hurt you.
It
Because everybody, they get lumped together. Right.
right,
And if that's something, it would be like a section of like Christians that is like, it's okay to go out and murder gay people. Right? Because
right,
we don't agree with them and we need they're a scourge on the earth and we need to just get rid of them. Like I would be out there being like, no, 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 no. Like that's not what we believe. That is not
right.
okay.
Yes,
Shun those people. They need to be stopped at all costs. Like they are
right.
absolutely not affiliated with us or with Christ or anything else. But it seems like they're not doing that either through ignorance or complacence. I don't know.
It
I
always
don't know
comes
what it
back
is.
to the money. That's why I say it.
Yeah.
If you really want to know what's happening in America, you dig into and you follow the money.
Yeah.
There was a podcast I throw them on, and sometimes I get like 15 or 20 minutes in between, right?
Yeah.
So this one podcast, I can't remember whose it was, but maybe it was Sean Ryan. They were
Hmm.
talking about how billionaires look at things. And
Yeah.
what they were saying is that most of us look at something and we see like the financial aspect of it, right? So like take a river, right? And you call it a money river. Most of us would go up and we dip our nets into the river and we take the money away and we go about our business, right?
Yeah.
A billionaire, and the way they think, and this is what this person was trying to explain, is they know that if they dam it, that it's going to piss everyone off, right? Because now they're in control of all the water and the water needs to go
Right.
down. But if they reroute the river to flow
Yeah.
to where they want, then they get that all.
Yeah.
So when you start looking at the money as a river flow that starts from the top, and how does it flow? Where does it flow by and flow to who? You start to realize that largely this country is really only run by several hundred people,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
that all of us are really just running and trying to find their river that they've
Yeah. To
rerouted
get
to
to
dip
get
our
whatever
nets.
little drips they can give us to keep us happy.
And so when I heard that, I was like, for the first time, I think I actually understand what the plus finally stands for.
Yep.
I never understood it. And don't get me wrong, man. I have lots of friends that are homosexual. I got nothing against them. They are my boys. I will show up in a heartbeat for them. I don't know if they'll get mad at me for saying some of the shit I said. I don't really care because the reality is, like, at some point, I don't look at people whether they're gay or not. I don't look at
Yeah.
people whether they're brown skinned, black skinned, white skinned. I look at people and I say, where is your heart? Is it in the same place as me? And are you going in the same direction as me? If you
Yeah.
are, let's walk together and get to know each other. If you're not, I'm sorry, I'm just not walking with your group.
Right.
That's it.
Doesn't mean I hate you. Doesn't mean that I wish ill on you.
Exactly.
I'm
Does
going
not
a
mean I
different way.
hate
I'm
you.
going that way.
It does not mean I wish ill will on you. But
Yeah.
it also doesn't mean that I'm gonna hold back what I hear or what I think or what I've processed for myself, right? Which is like,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit what you do. I actually don't care if somebody is transgender. And if from my perspective, if they are, I'm going to meet them where they are. I'm going to try to show them love. I'm going to show them the respect. If it's clear to me that they're trying to be a female, I'll say ma'am instead of sir. Like, I will go out of my way to respect them because they're a brother or sister of mine in Christ. And they deserve that from me. But that also doesn't mean that I need to agree with their thinking.
Yeah.
And if they respect me as an individual, they should be willing to hear what I think too, not
Yeah.
just what they feel. And
Yes.
I
And
think a
respect
lot
it.
of the
You know.
times when it comes to transgender, this is, this gets into a longer conversation. I have a first cousin who I used to just, idolize growing up. He was the coolest person in the world to hang out with. Um, and then later on, he became a she, and I don't want to ever offend her or make her feel like I don't love her as a family member. But I
Hmm.
also know that if everyone would have affirmed to me at the time what I was feeling about myself and what I felt about myself, which was that the world would be better off without me, I wouldn't be here. And so people didn't do that. My pastor didn't do that. My friends around me didn't do that. They actually, challenged that thinking and encouraged me to love myself as I am. So why doesn't that still fit when we're talking about transgender?
Yeah.
Why aren't we encouraging them first to love themselves as God made them,
Right.
not
Yep.
as they feel like they want to be made? And
Yeah. I
it's just
feel a lot of things that are probably not good. And if I acted on every feeling that I had, like you said, I wouldn't be here because
right,
I have felt that in the past that my family would be better off without me and that I would be better off, not here. And had I been affirmed in that, like you said, I would no longer be here. So it's again, there's our mind tells us things that are not necessarily true. And we feel certain ways that are not necessarily beneficial to our existence and to our mental health and to our physical health. Like I feel like eating pizza all the time. Like if I was affirmed in that and I just ate pizza all the time, I would be 300 plus pounds and I would just
right,
be Jabba the Hutt and it would not be
exactly.
good. So, and that's putting it lightly. And I don't mean to make light of things that people are dealing with. It's just there's things that just being affirmed in something that is bad, someone that is affirming you in something like that is not loving you.
No.
That
Well,
doesn't
and
mean that you need to sit there and scream at them either. But
right. Like the way I see it is this: I don't get to make your choices for you.
yeah,
Right? Like, I'm not here to tell you what you need to do or what you don't need to do. I'm not even going to evangelize your decisions, right? Like, it's only going to come up if you ask me,
right.
right? Like,
Yep.
up until that point, what I care about is knowing about you,
Yeah.
who you are, who's your heart, what do you want in this world? What are you trying to achieve? Where are
Yeah.
you going? How are you getting there? Are you honest? These are the questions that I'm asking, right?
Right.
It's when the other person then says, well, what's your feeling on transgender people? Well, I mean, then say, well, I
Yeah.
mean, from my perspective, I think that it's pretty clear that there is only a man and a female, and a man can't be a female, and a female can't be a man. Now, that
Yep.
doesn't mean that you can't want to identify as a female. And if you want to identify as a female and dress up as a female, I have no problem with that. That's your
Yep.
free will to do that. But
Yep.
when you start to tell me that I have to call people he or she that is actually
Yeah.
he, and when you start to
Yep.
mandate me that that he or that she who was a he now gets to use the same restroom as my wife or daughter, now we're
Yeah.
talking about a totally different situation.
Yes.
And
Yep.
see, that's the level that people can't get to, is that like, I don't want to tell you what you can or cannot do.
Right.
I will,
I also
if
don't want you
asked,
to tell me what I have to do or,
right.
can't do.
And
Yeah.
I think, yeah, life is,
I feel like we need to have another conversation.
oh, I think you've got like 2
And
episodes out of this one,
oh
right?
yeah, at
But we
least.
should
Yeah.
definitely
But
have, we should,
yeah.
as we start to grow, man, we should definitely look at having an event together
Yeah. I
down
agree.
in your neck of the woods. And if you
Yeah.
ever wanna
I
come up
mean,
here
the
at one of
nice thing
mine too.
nice thing about being where I'm at now, because I'm just north of Dallas, so there's always you've got all that space and everything, all the groups there. But I would definitely be willing to come up there as well.
Yeah, I mean, this
But
is, one of the things how everybody makes it is you find people along your journey who are about on the same path, and you start
yeah,
making friends with each other. I
yeah,
haven't found a lot of them, brother.
yeah. No,
You
I
know,
haven't
I
either.
mean,
And that's, I there's a lot that I've wanted to kind of reach out to. And then I just, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't
I
felt like it was the right time or the right people.
can
So I'm
tell you
glad that
I'm
I was
I'm
able to,
more disappointed than I am not when I actually do reach out,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm like, and I just never wanna be that person. Right? Like, I
right.
never wanna be that disappointment to whereas you and I were started this and kinda got roped into this, I think, I don't wanna speak for you, but I mean, from my perspective and from what I've gathered from talking with you today, we both were in this like, "Hey, we just see some areas that aren't being talked about, and we
Yeah,
wanna make sure that you're hearing another voice or opinion that go along with
yeah,
it." Whether
yep.
I make money from Instagram, that may never fucking happen, man. I have
Yeah.
friends that I had a friend, Behind the Shield podcast, James Gearing. I need to get you 2 together if you haven't gotten together with him yet.
I haven't.
Um,
Yeah.
his name is James Gearing, Behind the Shield. Remind me if you haven't gotten a connection for a day or 2 from me, remind me. He's got a
Okay.
big podcast that he does. You're a perfect fit for it, and you guys can switch off. He's a
Yeah.
firefighter who leading the way on mental health things and a number of different things for firefighters. Talks a
Yeah.
lot about firefighter suicide and things, so it's a good crossover. And he is a world of connections too, by the way. Like
Yeah.
you go to his
That's
thing,
always
like
good. Yeah.
awesome guy. Cannot speak enough good things about James. But he had 253,000 followers on Instagram before his account got closed for talking about childhood cancer. Yeah, it's a long story. Somebody had it out for him. Community
Yeah.
guidelines things hit, and then they just canceled him with one post. So he
Fantastic.
lost overnight 253,000 followers, went to zero. He's back up to around 60,000, I think, now, because people are
Yeah.
searching out for him and looking for him. Forgot where I was going with this, man. What were we talking about? I got
We
on
were
a
talking
tangent.
just about just the podcast and then getting into, um, shoot, no, I can't even think.
Yeah, see, I got so on a tangent talking
Oh,
about
we were talking about
James.
monetizing everything and,
Oh, yeah. So,
um,
like, he and I were sitting there talking about it, and we're like, he had been legitimately trying to make money off of those 250,000. Never. He was the one who qualified to me and made me realize that in order to sell my book, I need to not, like, I got to go out.
yeah.
not rely
Right.
on Instagram, social media, that sort of thing, because
Yeah.
that didn't help him with his book at all. And so
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
actually
shocked.
going
And
there's a
truthfully, I noticed it. I had a guy reach out to me, wanted to pay me $1,500 for 3 reels to talk about his book. He's a veteran. And I was like, I really needed the money. And I told him, I can't take your money. And he's like, why?
yeah,
And I'm like, because I'm just going to be really honest with you. You're not going to get the results you're hoping to spend that $1,500 on. I didn't even get the results. It's my
right.
page.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm like, so what we need to do is direct you to different areas where you can spend that $1,500 and get a better return on investment.
Right.
Here's some of the areas that I've learned going through this myself. If I had to do it over again, this is where I'd go. Dude
Yeah.
is one of my biggest fans.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that you didn't just take his money,
How
again,
could I?
that's
Would
yeah.
you feel good about it?
Nope. Nope. And that's the thing is I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm not taking advantage of somebody and I'm proud of what I've done today. And if I'm sitting there, I took this guy's money and I made 3 reels, which takes, how much time and
Right.
not that much time and not that much effort. And, he's expecting this great return. It's like, yeah.
Well,
But it's
and it depends on what it is, right? Because
yeah.
some
Yep.
things have a better outcome than that, right? So like, but we can wrap this up because honestly, I gotta get something to eat, and we've been on for
I do
like
too.
4 hours.
Yeah. But we've been on for we
And
just,
honest, I don't mind, dude. Like,
I
you're
don't either. I'm enjoying
all of this is gonna be
my wife. My
helpful to
wife's
me.
peeking in the window right now. She's looking in the window like, "Are you alive?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." So, but
But all of this is, like the way I look at it is it's content. And if I'm
yes,
having a good like again, if it would have been yesterday, like God worked this out so
right,
we could just
yes,
hang out and get to know each other.
yeah. Well, and I think that there's more. There's a lot more that we can. And I don't want to speak for you. I'm going to pray about how we can continue to collaborate and how we can continue to work together because I feel
I'm
like we're
all
on the same
game.
page for a
All
lot.
game. All game. Let's stay in touch.
Yes.
I'll be sending you some emails now that I know you with people who I think might be helpful for you
Yeah,
and
I
in
appreciate it.
my
Thank you.
circle. Don't ever
Yeah.
feel like you need to do it. If you're like, I don't like this person, cool, man. Just because I get along with them doesn't mean you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And
I appreciate
whatever
it.
I can do to help, don't hesitate to ask, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Hey guys, quick reminder, if you enjoyed the episode today, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, go to whatever platform you listen to these podcasts on and leave a review. That's the best way to help us out. It gets a lot more traffic to us. So again, if you liked it, like, subscribe, and leave a review. All right. Love you guys.